Oh, we're completely done. I got the wall up. We're painted. I got the trim around the side. The door's all good to go. I got my cabinet in place, and now it's time to turn this pile of wood back into my lathe bench. I have each piece labeled. Hopefully I can remember how the hell it went together. We'll see. Well, I have most of my stuff down here. Just missing my workbenches and my rolling tool cart, which I'll probably get this weekend if I can. But lathe is down here and in place. It took two of us to take it out, put it in the back of my pickup truck. Of course, 10 minutes after I put it in the back of my pickup truck, it started to pour rain out, and drove it back here. And probably about 5 or 10 minutes after I got back here, it stopped raining and it was a nice bright blue sky. So two of us were able to carry it just like you see it here, downstairs, and lift it up on the bench. It is still not light. I mean, I don't know. I really didn't move it until after I put the gearbox on, but that gearbox actually adds a little bit of weight compared to when this was a Model B and it didn't have that. I mean, it's pretty hefty to get it up there. I swear to God, you end up with 3 Adam's apples. The drill press is down there, which is also not a lightweight. I was able to take the motor off of that, and two of us were able to carry that down pretty good. So there's a few more things to get in here. I got a lot of the tooling for it here. Boxes of all kinds of good stuff. Bits and pieces laid out on the floors. I've been digging to find the parts I need to put it back together again. My Gersner toolbox, which you've seen the review, well, not review, but my rebuild of, and my Kennedy. And once I get everything in here and together, we'll probably just go through a quick little tour of what's actually in there and some of the tooling and stuff I have for this. So now we got to put it back together again, so let me get you clipped into the tripod so you're not getting dizzy, and we'll put the spindle back in this thing. Alright, so we're basically going to do the opposite of what we did to get it out. Still using the same tool that we used before, which is our 2 blocks of wood on our threaded rod. We're just going to do the opposite and squish the spindle in. The only problem is, get it, this process is a little more complicated because of this bolt gear here. Now this bolt gear, you can see it has a key slot on here, and your spindle here has a key on it. This bolt gear here basically gets pressed onto that key, and that is a press fit. The only problem is once you get this all in place and you have the cone pulley in, you cannot see that key. So what we have to do first is we're going to take a permanent marker, and we're going to make ourselves pretty much a mark on the front so we know where that key is. And then we're going to take the bolt gear and we're going to make a mark in line with that key slot so we know where it is. Okay, so now here's where you have a choice. Before we put, this is just the back gear here, before we put the cone pulley back on, you have to decide what you want to use for lube in this. You can take a peek back at my video of cleaning and oiling one of these, which is right here. If you click this link, I'll take you to it. But you basically have kind of three choices. You can either use oil every time you use your back gear. So in other words, every time you engage your back gear, you fill up your cone pulley and your back gear shaft with oil. Or you can use, what Southbend had recommended later on, is a particular grease made by Roy Dean products, which you can only get now on eBay, pretty much. And I believe it's $25 or in the high 20s or low 30s, something like that. And that is the 100% correct recommended grease from Southbend. Or you can use what I've been using, is just Super Lube PTFE bearing grease. I've been using that and it's worked fine. Let me close this door over here so I can get the furnace. Block out a little bit of noise there. Yeah, Super Lube PTFE, which is Teflon bearing grease, is what I've used, and it works perfectly fine. So now, if you're going to use grease, then what you need to do is take it and put it on a brush, and you want to coat the inside of your pulley, but you just want a thin coat on it. You don't want to sit there and glop it on, because you don't want it squeezing out the ends. You want as much of it staying inside there as possible. And as you can see, these oil grooves right here, just fill those up, and then right pretty much in line with this oil hole right here, there's another deeper groove. I fill that too. And then what we'll do after on, once we get this on, is we'll top it off with a needle. The Super Lube grease, which is in this grease gun here, you can see is a kind of milky clear grease. So I'm just going to brush the inside of that and then get right back. Okay, we're all greased up. Let me see if I can get you a decent shot inside here. You can see the grease in there. You don't want a ton in there. Think of it as greasing like a cookie pan or something like that. You just want to layer it in there. Kind of like pretty much an assembly lube is what you're doing, and then it'll be topped off after. You don't want to slop it in there and put a ton in here, because when you squeeze everything together, you'll have a chance of squeezing it out the back of the cone pulley, and it could get stuck in your thrust bearing on the end and follow your bearing. Okay, so now we're getting ready to put this all together. So let me move you over to the side here just to show you real quick. Inside here, whoop, lively. Inside these holes inside in the headstock bearings, you have felts, spring-loaded felts. Now, on the outside of those felts here is right where my finger is. You can see a little breather hole. Now, not all lathes have this, but if yours does, what you want to do is take either a piece of stiff small wire, or I'm basically using an Allen, a skinny Allen, and you want to push that down so it's below the edge of the cast iron bore, and you want to slide an Allen wrench or wire or something in there just over the top of that felt. Now, you don't want whatever you're sliding in to be above this cast iron bore. Basically, all you're doing is holding that felt down, so when you push the spindle in, once you release these, that felt will pop back up and touch the bottom of the spindle. This way you don't destroy it as you're pushing it in. So I'm going to do the same thing with the front one here too. Get you a better picture on this side. Now the front one here, at least on mine, is a little bit tougher to get, but it can be. Get something to push it down with. Come on. There we go. I got that caught now. Okay, so I'm gonna move you back to the other side here, and actually, I'll leave you right there. Okay, this is just a shop towel here with some spindle oil on it. Just rub it around the cast iron here. Just get some oil on it. That'll help us get through a little easier. Okay, so we want... Okay, satisfy my spindle nose protector. I'm going to put that on for the time being, just till I get it in. I'm going to have to take it off to see that line again. I might be able to actually continue the line onto the protector. I continue that line onto the protector so that way you can see what I'm doing. So slide that in. Bolt gear. It's a little tricky getting everything lined up at first, and then especially with just two hands, but it is possible. And then the thrust bearing here is the last thing. Goes right in here. Okay. Now I'm using my finger through the spindle, through the through hole on the spindle. I'm using that to line me up with everything. Okay. Now, you'll be able to feel, if you keep the line in line with the line for the keyway, in line with the marks that you went. When you push it in, you'll feel it, this bolt gear stop. If you turn it and line it up with those, with the keyway right, you'll feel it go and you'll feel it hit the key and slide in just a little bit more. You want to make sure you feel that positive lock in before you start to tighten everything together. You want to absolutely make sure that that key is in the key slot in the bolt gear. You don't want to try to tighten it when it's off, otherwise you screw everything up. Like I said, you'll be able to feel it. What I do, or what I just did, let me back it off of just a hair. Alright, the bolt gear spins nice and freely, the spindle isn't moving. My line is here and here. I'm in line, so I'm going to turn it a little bit off and I push this in until I feel it stop. Alright, right there it's stopping. You can still see, I can still spin the bolt gear without the spindle moving. Put a little bit of pressure on the spindle itself, turn the bolt gear, and right there I've just felt it lock in place. Now you can see that turn the bolt gear and it's turned the whole spindle. So that's all in line with my key. So now we're going to put our little tool back on, but we're going to do it the opposite way. So block on the front, spacer on the back. A block of wood. Washer. And okay, keep your eye right here. You should see this spindle being drawn in. Oh, turn the whole thing. I didn't even realize that. Hang on. I'm just gonna have to. I'm trying to do this in a way that you guys can see here. Okay. Alright, so that's in place. That's all nice. And now, stupid idiot. See what happens when you get ahead of yourself? Guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to put the belt around the headstock. So now I gotta take this all apart again, put the belt on, put it back in. Ah, stupid, stupid, stupid. Alright, let me do that. Okay, I took it back off, put the belt back on again, so now you can pull your little wires or whatever you're using to hold the wicks down. What you want to do is lightly tighten your cap screws on your bearing caps here. Grab my Allen. Okay, found it. We're just going to lightly tighten them down. We know we're going to have to adjust this as we go. Now, if you can see how much play there is in that spindle? We have to put on our take-up nut. Now, the original setup is to have a, let me step to the side here, is to have a fiber washer here, which this take-up nut tightens down against. What you can do is put in a needle bearing in its place, and your lathe will actually run a lot smoother because you can get this up a lot tighter than you would be able to get it with the fiber washer. Actually, I'm pretty sure that my first video I ever made was me putting this in, so I'll put a link to it over here somewhere. And like I said, it's my first video ever, so be a little lenient if it sucks. So what we're going to do is put this in place here. Screw our nut down. Now, we're going to tighten it down until that rocking goes away. So I'm right about there. We're just going to give it just a snug. Alright, now the biggest thing here is you want to check, pull the bowl gear pin and make sure that this doesn't bind, because you can get this so tight that it'll actually bind your your bowl gear to the cone pulley, and that's a little bit tight, so we'll back it off just a hair, like an eighth of a turn. Go just a hair tighter. We have no binding. Okay, so gently turn our oilers upright and fill up with spindle oil. Give another quick squirt. A little squirt in this bearing here too while we're at it. Refill my oil can. Go. Okay, now we want to double check our bearings, so we're going to do the lift test on that, which I do show in one of the other videos. I'll show again here. Let me get a mag base and an indicator. Okay, this bearing cap screw here is nice and snug. Now you don't have to go crazy tight, say 20-25 pounds of torque on there, get it nice and snug. I got an indicator set up right on the register of the spindle here. on the flat part, not on the threads. And this is a Starrett indicator that actually one of my viewers was nice enough to send me. This is the first chance I've had to use it because he gave it to me just before I moved. We also have a piece of rod in the headstock here, and basically what we want to do is just push down a little bit, and then we want to lift straight up, almost like you're trying to tear the headstock off the lathe. And you want to see what the change in this indicator is. We want anywhere from 1 to 2 thousandths of deviation when we lift. And we got a little over 1. You want to lift up with, say, about 70-75 pounds of pressure. That is clearance of the spindle in the bore. And that's where the actual oil flows. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side, and I already know that these shims are correct. I do have a video of me making another shim, which you can find right here, and I go through the process of taking the shim pack out, peeling off one of the laminations, and making a new shim. So I'm going to do the other side with the lift test and match it. It should be about 1/1000th of an inch too also. Okay, so now we want to put our back gear shaft in here, and we did the same thing with the back gear itself like we did with the headstock. We layered the inside with grease, but this isn't as critical. You can have grease squirt out of this, it's not going to do anything for you. So I'm going to put the shaft in. Now this has a spacer on it because this is a replacement back gear, and for whatever reason, just variation in manufacturing, this is slightly shorter, so I had to make a spacer for it with the other eccentric here. Now this is all held together with taper pins, so just be aware that you have your little eccentric here in the correct orientation. Oops. Second. There we go. That's more like it. Line up the taper pin holes. Drive it home. Okay. Now you need to set this up. There's one screw under here that sets There's one screw under here that has a spring on it, and that sets the actual pressure against the back gear. There's another screw here which actually will adjust the gear mesh on this. It adjusts how far in you can actually mesh these gears, and I'm just eyeballing it right now. It looks okay for now. Once we get it under power, we can figure out if I gotta go a little bit tighter, a little bit looser. This one underneath here does need to be tightened. This adjusts the pressure on the back gears and how hard it is to turn this handle. There's a spring with a little brass shoe on it. It's a little too tight. You want it nice and snug, but you don't want it so loose that it'll pop out of back gear by itself. You want that to hold some pressure on it. A little bit tighter. That feels nice right there. Okay, so let me squirt some oil in the motor here. One of my drip oilers here. And let's hook up the tensioner. Fits right here. There is a cotter pin that holds that in. I gotta dig that out of something, but for the time being, plug it in and make sure we're all good to go. Let's give everything a little spin, get some of the oil flowing where it needs to go. Okay. Forward. Sounds okay. Pull the bolt. And adjust that gear mesh a little bit. Okay, that's too tight. There, sounds pretty good. All right. Let's kick it into high-speed back gear. Okay, that doesn't sound bad at all. I have to tighten everything down. I have to level the lathe itself, put the guards on, and put the gear train back in place, and we should be in business. And that's pretty much it. So we'll actually see you back again when I get everything down here and everything organized. And like I said, we'll take a little tour of what I got going on now and some of the tools that I have, and go from there. So thanks for watching this video. See you when I make the next one.